everyone. Welcome to, I believe, the fourth episode of CRINGECAST. I'm Mr. Loserish, and join with me over the phone is...
The Kawaii Wrestler.
Yep, and today we are going to talk about the Samurai Jack episode from last weekend and the April Fool's Day joke that Adult Swim played on everyone. And last night we actually got the new episode of Rick and Morty instead of Samurai Jack. So, what do you think we should talk about first? A new episode or last weekend's episode? What do you think, Kawaii Wrestler?
Let's just go over the last week's episode, which yeah.
All right, yeah. So last week we just got a continuation. This was the one that I think was more heavily teased earlier on because we saw a lot of, in a lot of the early promotional material, we saw Jack fighting the Daughters of Aku, and now this is actually that episode where he ends up fighting all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like the episode was sort of split into two halves with this one. The first half was more Jack sort of recovering from the damages from the previous episode, and then the rest of the episode was the actual fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was and both parts were very cool and had their purpose.
Yeah. It's interesting because, we saw in the last episode at the very end he kills one of the daughters, and we can see that it's sort of he has some regret about doing it because he thought that they would just be a robot. And now in this episode that's sort of elaborated on rather, and we can see how this affected him and how he's struggling now that he's found out that he's killed a real person.
Yeah. It starts out with that blue version of him that was kind of taunting him and stuff, but then he has that memory when he was a kid of his father, and and I think that's kind of him remembering his old self, his old life is probably going to kind of redeem him over the course of the show.
Yeah, because, it seems like the whole point of the series right now is just for Jack to sort of remember who he was and such. We're getting a lot of that. And it's interesting because in this episode, it was, showed in a lot of the promotional material, Jack using that line where he says, you either leave or you stay here and accept your fate or whatever it is. And in this
face
episode,
your destiny.
Yeah, face your destiny. And in this episode, we actually see that line comes from what his father actually had said to him, or not to him, but to some assassins when he was a child, and they were trying to assassinate his father.
Yeah, and then he just took that and applied it to this situation, which is yeah.
I was going to say, of course, it makes sense that Jack's father would have killed someone in the past because he was an emperor and everything. So it's funny now that Jack is sort of struggling with actually killing someone for the first time when it's something that would have been normal for him if he had stayed in his timeline.
Yeah, because there weren't robots back then, obviously.
Yeah. And so that's the first half of the episode. We also see Jack actually meeting the wolf from the second episode, and it's also
kind of bonding with it.
Yeah, bonding with it in a way, which I thought was a bit odd, but I thought it also worked well.
It makes sense though, because obviously the parallel is that they just come out of this crazy ass battle that left them both almost dead, and now they're together and they kind of understand each other even though they can't really speak. So just a cool moment. Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't leave that parallel off at the last episode.
Yeah. And then so that's the first half of the episode. The second half we get to see him actually fight the Daughters of Aku. They track him down and then he fights them off, and pretty crazy because it's weird how Jack was having such trouble with them earlier, but now maybe because he's sort of accepted more of who he is, or he's back to sort of, I guess before he had all the armor on, and now he's kind of used to fighting how he usually does again, and he sort of just kicks all their asses really quickly.
Well, the other thing too is that he had that speech right before he fought them, telling them that, hey, if you stay here, I will probably kill you, so just go away. And Of
Yeah,
course, they
he
don't.
definitely
So
gives them a warning.
yeah, so it's just kind of sad, because yeah, because like they've been raised their whole life to track Jack, and they're not going to just like give up. But you wish they would, so
Oh
they
yeah,
could
and
live.
real quick, talking about that, we also get a more insight into sort of their viewpoint of the world and everything because they see these deer.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
was pretty funny.
yeah, it was a very interesting scene. They see a doe, and they're sort of like they don't know what's up with this animal, and then they see a buck, and its antlers remind them of Aku, so they think, oh, this buck is gonna kill this doe because it's the stronger one. It's a messenger of Aku, or it's one of Aku's minions, and of
Yes,
course then
servants, I think. Yeah.
yeah, and then the buck and the doe sort of Eskimo kiss or whatever. And
Yeah.
they're very confused by this. They don't really understand what's going on at all because this is one of the first times they've seen other life besides humans, I guess.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like they didn't see any squirrels or anything before that.
Yeah, well, I think there's a short part where when they're fighting Jack, they see like a crow or something, and they throw a knife at it because they think it's Jack. But anyways, that's
Oh
sort
yeah.
of just part of the fight as opposed to what's going on with their psyche. And so yeah, the fight happens, and Jack makes really quick work of all the daughters. I mean, he's just
Well, I
slaying.
mean, it kills two of them like right
Yeah,
off the bat.
right away. He just like throws the spear. I was very surprised and just like impales one and kills her instantly. And
Mm.
yeah, and then Samurai Jack. We've talked about it before. Is famous for really interesting animation. In this episode, we get this during the fight, the early part of the fight at least. The characters are the only thing on screen that aren't completely covered in white because it's taking place in the snow, and so we get
Yeah.
some interesting stuff there. It's sort of like the whole screen is white, and even stuff in the foreground is completely white. So there's a scene where they're all running, and we see trees blocking their way, but they're just completely white. And actually, Jack ends up on top of a tree, and it's weird because he's on a higher plane than them, but it just looks like he's still on this white blank slate until they show that he's on a tree.
Yeah, like yeah, after that they just show regular backgrounds, I think. Yeah, so that was definitely a cool thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like the tension building up to like the first fight when like everything started to get whited out was just really cool visually, and then keeping that up through that whole fight or half of the fight. It's just a
yeah,
cool
about
thing
half
too.
the fight, and then after that we get to see it. The fight ends with Jack up on this cliff, and he's sort of at the end of the cliff, and he drops the weapon he has, and the three daughters that are left sort of attack him one by one, and he's able to take them all out with just his bare fists.
Yeah, like the first one he throws off, but then the second one he just punches and like turned her neck 180 degrees.
Yeah, that was
That was
brutal.
brutal.
And then she fall. Not only that, but she does fall off after he punches her, I think.
Yeah.
And then the
And
last one, which is Ashi.
yeah, obviously it's like, geez, are they just gonna kill Ashi in like the most unceremonious way ever?
It's funny how she's like, earlier he was giving them this speech, and she was just like, "Shut up, we just want to fight you." And now at the
Yeah.
end of the fight, she's sort of cursing Jack because she's been defeated, and Jack's just like, "Shut up." Well, he doesn't
Yeah,
say
right.
that, but it's kind of the feeling you get.
He
From
just has that face like, God
Yeah,
damn it.
he's just like, whatever. I'm done with you guys. I just beat all of you. And then the episode ends up ending with Jack falling off the cliff, or the cliff breaking actually, and Jack falling also. And we get a preview for the next episode,
Yeah, so
which was supposed
yeah.
to show last night, but Adult
Yeah.
Swim pulled a little prank.
Adult Swim, I will destroy you someday. I swear to God.
Well, you said that I actually didn't really mind. I mean, I wasn't waiting sort of with as much anticipation, but I'd have to imagine that it was quite a surprise for you. Were you watching it live and everything?
Well, I tuned in like 10 minutes before, I think. So I was just watching the Rick and Morty episode, then I realized, oh man, this is a new episode. But then 11 o'clock rolls by, and they Then I just learned on the internet that Samurai Jack is being pushed till next week. It's just, it just.
Well, we got a new Rick and Morty, which is what we wanted to talk about also for this podcast. So, yeah,
I don't care though. Rick and Morty, that's been off air for like a month, for like a year. I can deal with like waiting another week. Samurai Jack has been airing for only 3 weeks, and now it just decides to take a break for 1 week because of some stupid prank. No, that is not okay. That is fucking crazy, and I will get my revenge on Adult Swim someday. I don't care how long it takes. I promise that someday Adult Swim will pay, and they'll be by my hand.
nerd rage is strong right now.
Like, fucking hell. Like, it gets advertised, like, for a whole week. It's like, this is the episode. It comes on at 11. Then, nope. We're just going to have, like, 6 straight reruns of one episode. You can't just have 4 reruns of one episode. You just got to have 6 reruns or something. And, man. And you're not going to have any...
I actually didn't watch it. I don't know exactly what happened. So they replayed the new episode of Rick and Morty? Is that what happened?
Yeah, for like 4 or like 3 or 4 hours straight.
I could see that being
until midnight.
Pretty annoying. But
yeah.
What did you actually think of the episode?
I mean, it's fair. It's kind of weird watching a premiere when you're not expecting to.
Yeah, sort of. It just comes out of nowhere, and then you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I remember you messaging me right when it happened, and you're like, no joke, Rick and Morty just came on. And I actually didn't know that they didn't show Samurai Jack, so I was like, oh, wow, Rick and Morty and Samurai Jack, and now I realize that.
Well, I didn't realize that either because I was on Cartoon Network, the channel, and just waiting for Samurai Jack. And there's this new episode of Rick and Morty that I've never seen before, so that I actually checked what was going on. So,
yeah, but moving on, I guess we should actually talk about the new Rick and Morty episode. Seems like it was a little weird because I felt like they really solved the whole Galactic Federation thing in like one episode. I thought this was going to be like a season-long thing where Rick was fighting it, but it seemed to have ended with just sort of the idea that episodes from now on are just going to be normal Rick and Morty, just them going on dumb little adventures, crazy, really out there sci-fi adventures and stuff.
It makes sense. I mean, Rick is, told to be like the smartest thing in the universe, so it makes sense that he could just destroy all of his problems, the Council of Rick and the Galactic Federation in one episode. So
yeah, so let's actually do a quick summary, I guess, of the episode. So it starts off with Rick. And we're actually in Rick's mind. The Galactic Federation is trying to find out about interdimensional travel, or multi-dimensional travel rather themselves. So they're in Rick's mind, and they're so it kind of tries to trick you at first, but it's a pretty obvious trick that they're actually in Rick's mind. They try to trick you and say that Rick has already escaped, but he hasn't. And so this one of the Galactic Federation members is in Rick's mind with him, trying to get this information, and we get to see Rick. He creates this sort of origin story, or we get to see his origin story. And
but we're not exactly sure if it's his real one because he's still,
it seems genuine at the time, and I had actually seen the clip of that before I had actually watched the episode, so I didn't realize that in reality, Rick tricks the Galactic Federation, and he says, "Oh, this isn't my real origin story or whatever. This is just something I came up with." And,
and then the guy who was voiced by Nathan Fillion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's like, "No, we're still in the Shoney's. We're still in the Shoney's."
Yeah, and
which is like south. It's like mid-south restaurant chain.
Yeah.
So
we get then Rick uploads a virus to the Galactic Federation, and we get to he gets to escape, and then he starts on his quest to go to the the Council of Ricks also.
Yeah, and throughout the way, he's like swapping his minds with whoever.
Yeah,
Like,
and then while
yeah,
that's going on, we also have Summer and Morty trying to go on their own little adventure because Summer wants to save Rick, and Morty is kind of like, well, look at how bad Rick is of a person, and takes Summer to his original universe, where
yeah. It's cool that they didn't like forget that entirely, because when that episode happened in the first season, like it's like a game changer.
yeah, it's crazy because it's sort of one of those things where you just kind of forget it happens, or it seems like they were going to, but then they bring it up again, which I thought was good of them.
Hmm.
And so then Summer and Morty get captured by the Council of Ricks, and Rick infiltrates the Council of Ricks and teleports it, saves Summer and Morty, and we get a little funny scene where they have sort of a standoff, and
Oh yeah,
Morty ends up shooting Rick, the main R Rick,
yeah,
and it was all part of Rick's plan, but Morty didn't realize, and Rick thought he did, which is funny because Morty would have actually shot Rick.
yeah. It's funny, like rewatching the episode twice. There is like that tape on it that has
Oh,
the
really?
message.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
like
That's cool.
yeah. So that's like that's like a little Easter egg where if you're looking for it, you get to see it. So that was one good thing about seeing like the episodes back to back,
Hmm.
out of a sea of anger and hatred that is boiling within me and shall never dissipate until Adult Swim is in ashes wherever it's based.
And then, anyways, Rick teleports the council inside the Galactic Federation and takes down both.
Yeah, well,
He
he dismantles. It's actually just a prison, I think. But
Oh yeah. Well, he does dismantle the Galactic Federation by making their currency worth nothing, which I guess was just a little joke about how money works in just the weird way that it's all digital now. He just changes a 1 to a 0, and then all of a sudden this entire government is taken down in like mere seconds, basically.
yeah, that's crazy. Like I love like their White House, and it's like, oh, like who's paying us to do anything?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like how do we fix this? And then another guy yells at him. He's like, you idiot! We'll figure out how to do this. And he's like, wait, who's paying me to yell at you? And it's like everyone just like,
Yeah,
wait, what am I? Why am I even doing this if I'm not getting paid? And the
yeah,
president shoots himself in the head
yeah.
because he just can't take it, I guess. And then the episode ends with, well, it comes to an ending where Rick comes back and he's reunited with his family, and
Hmm.
Morty's parents actually divorce, which is something that it feels like every episode, Jerry and what is Morty's mom's name again?
Uh,
I think it's like Beth or something.
yeah, Beth.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
right.
where Jerry and Beth are like arguing, every episode it seems like they're arguing, and they
Yeah,
always
and
end up
like the whole
together.
running joke of the show was just like, are they going to get divorced or not?
Yeah, and now
Something.
finally in this premiere, like they just get divorced at the end, and it seems like it's not that big a deal to Beth. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's funny. Jerry just like gets cucked by Rick, like in every episode almost. Even though like not in the traditional sense of the word cuck, but like Jerry kind of is. He always just gets cucked somehow.
I mean, he's just, he's just not, able to live in Rick's world of, sci-fi and adventure and stuff. And
Yeah, he's kind of
it's
like
sort of
this.
his fault, but it's not in a way. It's just, a bad situation that, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I
yeah.
feel sorry for Jerry in general. I do sort of think he's a wimp, but at the same time, I do feel sorry for him. Like I understand like
Hmm.
why he's in the position he is. But yeah, they end up divorcing, and what I think is cool or funny about that is that at the end of the episode, Morty is actually pretty affected by it. He's like, "My parents just got divorced, Rick. I don't know if we can go on an adventure right now." And Rick's just like, "Shut up, Morty. We're going on an adventure."
Right. It ends with that scene where where Rick is just, slobbering all over and just talking crazy stuff, talking about what the sauce that the McDonald's sauce when they're promoting Mulan.
Yeah, yeah.
What was
Is
it
that a
called?
real sauce? I don't know what it's called. It started with an S. It
Yeah.
must have been, I guess. But it was just funny because yeah, he jokes about how because you think that Rick's whole purpose is the origin story that he came up with, but then at the end of the episode he's talking about how his real whole goal in life is just to taste that sauce again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, there'll be 9 more seasons so I can get that sauce. If that's how long it takes, that's how long the show is going to keep going on until I can get that sauce.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I wonder if that sauce ever was real. I bet Dan Harmon just just a real experience Dan Harmon did. And he loves that sauce and now he can never get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless the new Mulan movie has a similar promotion. That would be pretty funny.
That would be funny. That'd be awesome. But yeah, that's how the episode ends. I mean, we get a preview kind of, or a little snippet at the end where we
Oh
get
yeah,
to see
a side or a
Phoenix person, or
Phoenix person, right?
yeah, or Tammy is she's now riding on an enhanced version of Bird Person, who's now called Phoenix Person. And,
Yeah, not Cyberbird.
yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah, that was a pretty
Mecha
funny
Bird or something. Yeah, a little joke at the end. But yeah, I think that I wonder how frequently they're going to be showing Rick and Morty now. Do you have any idea? Did they say?
I don't know. I don't think the season itself is gonna start until summer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's
I don't
crazy
think.
because
Yeah.
everyone was sort of like, man, Rick and Morty, when are they going to make it? Everyone started complaining, and now it's like, you want Rick and Morty. I guess that was the whole joke, though. It's like, you want Rick and Morty, you want new Rick and Morty. We're going to show you the same episode for 4 hours.
Hmm. Yeah, and stream it too on their website. Yeah, it's a good thing, but like, they crossed the line though. They crossed the line, and no amount of Rick and Morty will ever appease me and my fire and my all-consuming flame that will destroy them in their due time.
Yep. So, what do you think? Do you think the new season is going to be more of the same? I think that's what they're hinting at. Is it's just going to be not much changes really, except Jerry is maybe going to be gone.
Yeah, and the Council of Ricks won't be
there, but it's
Yeah,
just
I
going to be
think
them going on adventures, basically.
but remember we still have that evil Morty that's still out there. I
Yeah,
think
it's true.
he's gonna. I have a feeling that he will be. He might show up this season and be a big force because with the Council of Ricks just kind of getting destroyed this episode, he could use that and become a very very bad person, very big threat, I should say. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, I have to actually. I think they probably would keep Jerry, and also he's just gonna. I think there was gonna be a new sort of gag with him where he's gonna be living separately from them. Maybe I could see them doing something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows what types of jokes that they would have. That's the problem with Rick and Morty is it's so hard to predict what will actually happen in
Yeah.
the show
I mean,
or
I
the
guess that what
season.
makes it good is just they have really infinite possibilities. They can just do whatever they want. It's
Yeah.
because there's no real limits to. I mean, they've already established multiverses, so really they could explore anything and everything. And they've already done some exploring of lots of interesting concepts, like the TV show episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the new Rick and Morty. We've talked about the 2 main subjects we wanted to talk about. Anything you want to move on to?
Let's see. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening. Baseball opening day. That's today and tomorrow. So if you're a fan of baseball, It's a good thing. I know you don't like baseball that much.
Well, it's just not. I'm just not a sports guy in general. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
right.
gone to O's games with you, and I've gone to O's games with friends before, and they're fun. But I guess it's just like I don't actively like want to turn on the TV and put on ESPN. It's sort of my view of sports. So it's like, yeah. I mean, maybe I'll go to an O's game. Fun to go to.
Yeah, right. And then WrestleMania's today, which is big.
It's cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I thought we should talk about. I saw. I think it was the day before. Yes, it was Friday maybe. Me and my girlfriend went to go see The Boss Baby.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and we were the only two people in the theater, which is funny.
Really?
Yeah, at all. And it was like the premiere. It was Thursday night because the movie came out on Friday or whatever. So it was the Thursday night premiere. And we were the only two people in the entire theater. We saw it in 3D because that was what showing they had. Quick review of that movie. Not as bad as it looked in the commercials. Nothing
Really?
nothing great or anything. It's worth watching once. I mean, if like you have kids or your like little cousin or whatever wanted to watch it with you, no harm done. Okay enough. But
Hmm.
what I noticed is that they did a lot of interesting animation ideas, and what I've noticed, and I've talked to you about this before, is I think we're getting so good with 3D animation that I go out and see 3D animated movies, and I'm consistently like, this is well animated, but I feel like I often go out and see movies that just aren't so solid with the story.
Yeah, so you think like, stories should, be better and have more effort put into them?
Well, it's just weird because I feel like I'm getting off. Like I went to see Secret Life of Pets, and that movie wasn't very good. It's not something I'd go and see again, but it looked nice in my opinion. It was very colorful and everything. So it's like, would I say it's worth watching once? Yeah, and I feel like so often I go to see animated movies now, and it's like, oh, this wasn't so great, but hey, it looked good enough, so go out and watch it just because it looks great. And I
Hmm.
feel like it's becoming so often now that I see animated movies and I can just say that and I wonder if we've gotten to the point where we're just so well at animating these 3D films that every 3D film is going to be like that, where you're like, it looks good, so it's at least worth watching. Because with The Boss Baby, it was like, you know, kind of a silly concept or whatever. It had some heartwarming
Hmm.
moments, but in general, the best thing I can say about it is that it was animated well. But I can say that about so many films. I mean, if a DreamWorks film isn't animated well, then that's like a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think it's still only like the three or four big studios, like DreamWorks, Pixar, I guess Disney, and
Yeah,
Illumination.
yeah. You
Who
could say, I guess, like
else?
Illumination,
Yeah,
Blue Sky. But I mean, they only make Ice Age
right.
sequels now, and I haven't seen an Ice Age movie since like
Yeah.
probably like middle school or whatever. So
Right, but DreamWorks is always on point with their animation. It's just that story-wise, they're very hit and miss.
yeah, they make really silly, movies. Like, what was the last movie they made before this? Was it? I think it was Kung Fu Panda 3, which was a good movie.
No, I think it was Trolls. Yeah, Trolls came out after
Oh,
Kung
oh,
Fu Panda.
that's right. And same thing with Trolls. I was like, it's not. The story wasn't really all that great. The music was okay, I guess. But go out and watch it because it was animated well, and that's what I could say about it. And that's what I can say
Hmm.
about Boss Baby too. And like, I feel like so many movies I go out and see that, like, especially with Trolls, because Trolls was animated pretty interestingly because it felt like all the characters were made out of fabric. Like the trolls themselves looked like they were made out of like felt or something, and I thought that
Oh
was really
yeah.
cool. But the story, it was just like whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
I can't even
Yeah, I
remember any of the
think
characters' names or anything.
yeah, I think in the end, DreamWorks has just kind of sold out in a way where they just will make profitable movies, and but I really think they have the tools to really compete with Disney and Pixar in like creating really good, high quality animated movies. It's just that, yeah, creative and story wise, and I guess directing wise too, um, they're either trying or, well, they just aren't trying hard enough,
Yeah,
in
I
my
think they're just
opinion.
not trying. I think it's just that at this point films have gotten really formulaic. I mean, because it's like animation is there, and they always have good voice acting. They always hire very famous people and everything. So it's kind of like DreamWorks just has at this point the money to keep producing movies that do well enough to, so that they can sustain themselves and keep making money and everything. But it's like they don't want to experiment or really put in the effort maybe to do something that's different, that's sort of challenging or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least they're like, whenever they do that, it's very rare. Like only the Dragons movies, I think are like they're like the best that DreamWorks has, and they still come out like they're still relatively rare compared to all of other DreamWorks movies in that frame.
Yeah, yeah. They don't often produce How to Train Your Dragon or a Kung Fu Panda series. We get stuff like like Boss Baby and Home, which are okay movies, but
Yeah.
I never actually watched Home. You said you weren't a big fan of it. Just stuff like
No, it was way too many Rihanna songs.
yeah, just stuff like Turbo or whatever, where it's like these are okay. They're worth watching once. I would never watch them again. If I had a kid or if I whatever, I let them watch it. No harm done, but not something great. Not something that's going to be remembered forever.
Yeah, it's just a shame because, yeah, on the production side, DreamWorks should be doing so much better, but it's just annoying that they aren't.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like I said, it's just like they're not taking any risks either. Like with Disney and Pixar, with the last Disney, well, I guess Pixar has sort of course, fallen into this sequel season.
Yeah, they're
Thing where
just gonna have sequels forever.
yeah,
it
they're not
sounds
really
like.
they're not really going and trying new things all the time now. And they're sort of just rehashing the same stuff. But with Disney, we got stuff like Zootopia, and Zootopia, it wasn't like the most challenging film ever, but it talked about very current, real topics. It was commenting on things like racism and, societal boundaries and stuff like that. And, DreamWorks would never touch a film. It seems like they would never even attempt to do something like that.
Yeah, and the
Illumination
actual world
too,
of
but I don't
yeah, right.
expect anything from Illumination, so.
Yeah, but the actual world and characters of Zootopia also just have like a lot of care put into them. They can
Yeah.
just tell through the movie. So it's just yeah. I mean, I think Disney with how they're trending is the new Pixar, is the new big dog right now. So and you can just tell that, they're putting a lot of effort and care into their movies. And, they're reaping the rewards of that. Zootopia made like $1 billion or something, or
Yeah,
like,
it's
or at
like
least
the
really
most,
close.
yeah, most money, I think, like, just like a ton of money. Like, it even beat out Frozen. And that, like, again, like, even with Frozen, like, that's not really a groundbreaking film either. But it has,
No.
a different-ish ending. You know what I mean? The true love thing that I guess sort of is something a lot of people like to talk about. Sort of for Frozen was sort of looking forward with that. It was being a little progressive in a sense. And it's like, I don't feel like DreamWorks ever does anything like that where they sort of challenge. And what's funny about it is I guess sort of DreamWorks was almost built out of this idea of challenging, the Disney standard. The first big film they had was Shrek. And Shrek's whole thing is, it's not the typical fairy tale. It's trying to do something different. It's trying to be about people who are imperfect. And, they do stuff like Megamind, too, before... I think Megamind came out before the Despicable Me series, right?
I think they might have come out like really close to each other,
Yeah,
maybe like the same year or
you know what I
something.
mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
a film about a villain. They do. It seems like they have. It was birthed out of this idea of not doing what Disney was doing, and then for a while they started following Disney, and now they sort of just gotten in this trend where they can make these films that aren't really challenging,
Yeah, just mediocre,
just
and they make their
mediocre,
money.
just
Yeah.
very like B, C, or not even really B, just like C grade films, and like
Oh, did you just mention the B movie here? I'm talking about DreamWorks.
but even I'd like to see more B movies because while B movie isn't a good movie, it's different. It's not the typical kids movie. You know what I mean? B movies, it's sort of, but B movie is, I don't want to say it's challenging, but it's different. It's kind of weird. It's sort of weird that it even exists. I
Yeah,
guess that's why
seriously.
it's become a meme.
Yeah, it's like Jerry Seinfeld. He draws in the kids a lot,
I rewatched it recently, and it's just such a weird movie. It's kind of like anti PC. Like, have you
Huh.
watched it recently? I feel like that's sort of the message you're supposed to take from B movie. I don't know if I
No, I haven't.
well, because the whole thing is that the bees are like, you know, oh, we deserve all the profits made from honey, and there's this big after they win the court case. There's this sort of montage where it's sort of I don't know if it's like supposed to be a message on PC culture. I know that Jerry Seinfeld is sort of against PC culture because there was an
Yeah.
interview with him where he said like, "Oh yeah, I'd never do a show at a college right now because I'm sure I'd get tons of hate from all these really left-wing kids that would just be I'd make a joke about women and they go nuts." And I wonder if sort of B movie was sort of telling of that because
I mean,
after
well, the movie came out like 10 years ago, so it's hard. So I guess a little bit,
yeah,
but
but
not the way PC culture is like right today, though.
yeah, but I mean the whole thing is like it's like almost like very like I said, it's very against PC culture. I feel like because the whole thing is after they win the case, and Barry, the whole case is talking about like sort of cultural appropriation. Essentially, like one of the big jokes is that they bring in the bassist of the Police, Sting. And they're like, well, Sting is essentially they don't use the word appropriating, but they talk about how Sting is appropriating bee culture with his name, and they talk about how bees don't want to be associated with images of bears and stuff. And after they win the case, there's this whole montage where it's like Sting gets arrested and they tranquilize Winnie the Pooh because he's associated with like this idea of bears eating bee honey and stuff. And then it all turns bad, and then afterwards Barry has to take it all back. So I wonder if it's almost like a commentary on PC culture and stuff, and like
Yeah.
sort of Jerry Seinfeld was looking forward. But anyways, what I'm saying is B movie is sort of
Well,
become
yeah,
a
it's just
meme.
very fitting for today's
Yeah,
society.
it's weird
that,
because it's sort of like I was telling you like in Mumkey's video about the B movie, he talked about how I didn't really rewatch the B movie, but it's something about environmentalism, right? And I'm like, it's not even. It's kind of more like about how environmentalism isn't good because once the bees get their way, everything goes to shit, and then the bees have to sort of get off their asses so that the world can be okay again.
Huh,
I don't
that's
know.
funny.
It's such a weird film. It's such an odd film, and I guess that's why it's become such a meme.
Well, yeah, because it's weirdly bad, and
Yeah, I mean, we
yeah,
could probably just do an entire episode just about B movie, and of course, there's this human on insect romance that sort of develops. It's just
oh yeah,
so odd. I don't know what to think about it. It's
yeah, right.
yeah,
So
but what I was saying is DreamWorks doesn't do B movies anymore, and I don't know if I want them necessarily to do a B
yeah, I don't
movie,
think the
but
B movie should be what you try to do. I think
you know what I
the How to
mean.
Train Your Dragon.
B,
Yeah,
B movie is sort of out of the box. It's different. You know what I mean? It's a kids
yeah.
movie that has like 30 minutes of like courtroom drama in it, and it's just like I'd like them to at least experiment more. Yeah, we'll probably get a couple more B movies if they did, but with every B movie, then you get maybe a Shrek or something. Something that's just
Yeah.
different than what
Yeah, they're actually making a new Shrek, believe it or not.
I heard that they would. I mean, Shrek,
It's
I
like,
think, is something that they're never going to let die. It's such a big thing.
yeah, and honestly, with like the big gap between the last one, what was it? When did the last one come out? Like
Shrek
2011?
Forever After. It feels like 2011. I could search it up real quick.
Yes, or 10 or 11. I have a feeling. Yeah, so hearing that and just a long time since it's last been out. I have a feeling when it comes out in like 2019 or 2020, it's good. There's going to be a pretty big buzz around it. We'll see, though, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. So A movie I saw recently was the Power Rangers movie. So, have you seen that one?
No, but talk about it real quick. I heard good things about it, but I don't know. I haven't seen it, so
Yeah, I really liked it actually. Um, you know, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not getting like the biggest,
the best
um,
scores.
yeah, exactly, or the best percentage so far. But yeah, I really liked it. It's kind of like CW drama stuff, but and with like the big superhero battle at the end. But I think it was done in the way like my sensibilities liked it the most. That I was just really satisfied, and the humor was pretty good. The ending action was good. Like you know how like a movie like has to like introduce things that sooner or later get paid off.
Yeah, of
I
course.
think, yeah. So this movie did a very good job with that, in a way that Kong Skull Island didn't, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was never a huge fan of Power Rangers when I was a kid, so I wasn't really looking forward to the movie, especially. But maybe I'll go out and watch it. I don't know. It's
Yeah, because I didn't see I wasn't that big a fan of Power Rangers either, like growing up. But you know, yeah, but I really like this though. So maybe, yeah. So I think everyone who listens to this and who was on the fence, go see it for yourself. If you hate it, then that's just your opinion. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
hmm. Yeah. I mean, I I like the concept and everything. Maybe I'll go out and watch it if I not so broke. I went to see the Boss Baby with the some free tickets, so it wasn't a big deal then. Um,
All right.
yeah, I feel like I go off and I go off into movies so often and like I just don't have to pay for one reason or another. I don't know. I guess I just get lucky because I used to have a friend who worked at the AMC and the rules at AMC for employees are like only you can come to see a free movie and then you can only do it like once a month. And me and my friends would just go like every week and just like groups of like 10 people or whatever and just go and see free movies. It was really bad of us, but
Yeah.
they never
I
like
mean, the movie theaters, they make their money off of concessions. So, yeah, getting in to see a showing probably isn't costing them that much money anyway.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not condoning going to see extra screenings, but if you really want to support a movie theater, go buy like a drink or candy or something.
Yeah, I mean every time I go to the theater, I do end up buying popcorn and stuff. So I guess I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, well,
Anyways,
yeah, that's probably helping the theater more than like just one or two showings.
yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, actually, I thought we should talk about is we discussed it a little bit before. Is we're kind of going back to Disney. All these live action Disney remakes. What do you think of them?
Oh yeah. Um, hmm. Honestly, I'm like 50-50 on them. They're obviously like cheap cash grabs because, um, but there's also like like differing philosophy whether like these remakes should be like adherent to the source material like Beauty and the Beast was, or completely different like Maleficent was. And there's like pros and cons of each one in my mind that like I don't even know like what the best course of action should be because if you go too much with the source material or like the actual animated movies, then it's like why bother having the live action one? But if you're completely changing everything up, then like yeah, it's just a weird area that is
Yeah,
very confounding.
yeah, and it's like I think I'm more on the side of do something different, but I don't know because my thing is the only one I can see. I feel like I would want to go watch like ever again. I haven't seen it actually yet, but I would be interested in seeing it. Is like Maleficent because it's different. It sort of expands on the story as opposed to all these other ones where it's like I did go out and see the Jungle Book and I did go see Beauty and the Beast recently, but it's like if I wanted to go watch Beauty and the Beast or the Jungle Book again, I would watch the animated version and not these versions. And I feel like I can say that 10 years from now, if I'm suddenly like, oh, I want to watch Beauty and the Beast or I want to watch The Jungle Book, I'm not going to turn on the live action versions.
Well, I've actually seen Maleficent. I mean, it was just like on TV one night,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not Sleeping Beauty at all. It has like a similar setup in a way, but story wise, it's completely different. And the movie is just weirdly made anyway. So I think that's kind of my biggest problem with like trying to change up them is that like
Well, I
on the
don't
one
know.
live action one they've done, they've like I think yeah, I just don't think Maleficent is a good movie.
Really?
And yeah, and I think that kind of sours me on the idea of changing up one of these live action movies or live action remakes is just that they fumbled the ball. They just dropped the ball so much on Maleficent that I don't think it's
Well,
yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like you could say with Maleficent that it's a spin off as opposed to a remake or anything.
I guess, but it's not like in the marketing they said that. It's like a different take on Sleeping Beauty. No, they went pretty hard with this is Sleeping Beauty, but it's not. It's completely different.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw Beauty and the Beast recently, and it was very, very similar to the original. Very few changes. I think the only thing I could say that was kind of a big change is they sort of.
Sorry, my roommate's here and he
It's
just
alright.
dropped
It's alright.
something. So
But it's just it feels like the only things that were really different were just some of the characters, but really it was pretty much the same story overall. I mean, and I wonder, it's just like,
yeah, like I heard there's like some extra scenes and stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's just like they sort of try to fix some of the, I guess, plot holes or just like some of the ideas in the original that maybe didn't make as much sense. Like one of the things that is kind of a big change is like in this one, it's like if the beast fails, then all the servants turn into furniture like permanently and like not living
Hmm.
furniture, like they die and turn into furniture.
Hmm.
And so it sort of raises the stakes, I guess. But like, I don't
I
know.
guess.
At its core, it's the same story, and I feel like I was okay watching it once, but I'm not gonna go watch it again. I'm gonna watch the animated version in the future.
I don't know. I feel like you don't need to raise the stakes in that specific case because as a servant, I wouldn't want to live as furniture anyway. So, what difference does it make if you like lose consciousness or something? Like, you still get a raw deal.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that's true, but I don't know. It's it was just okay. And Emma Watson, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if she was such a great choice for Belle or not. Because
nah, she's Emma Watson. I don't think she's a good choice for Belle. I mean, she's pretty enough, but she
I
just
kind of saw what they
yeah.
were doing because it's like Belle is supposed to be sort of this smart girl, and like that's her whole thing is in the village. Like no one expects women to be smart, and then Belle is smart, and so like it's like Emma Watson is famous for playing Hermione, who's like the smart one. So
Yeah,
that
but
was
the thing
sort of the train
is,
of thought, but I don't know.
yeah, I just don't think Emma Watson's. I don't know. She's pretty enough, honestly. Like,
She,
yeah, she's not ugly, but
I don't think it's not that she's pretty enough. I mean, I think she is pretty enough to be a Disney princess, maybe, but like, she just doesn't fit. I don't know, and like, her singing wasn't good enough. I don't know.
right, yeah,
She had a hard time. Like, I didn't feel like she was really. She didn't. I don't want to say she did a bad job acting, but she just sort of didn't give enough emotion to the role.
mm, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's hard. I don't. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't have a. I can't actually say on that front, but yeah,
yeah, and you were talking about how, like, with the Mulan movie that they're gonna do, that with that they're gonna re-release the McDonald's sauce that they had, which I think
oh,
is a good
that would
reason.
be pretty funny.
Good reason for the remake. No, but you were talking about how with the new Mulan movie they're not gonna have any music, and it's like how much of it is changing then? It's like is it because then it's almost like they're being in the middle of Maleficent and the other remakes. It's like maybe it'll be the same movie but just without music, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't like that either.
Because with my girlfriend, she was
Yeah,
talking about how like she likes the music for Mulan, so it's like I wouldn't want them to do that, and it's like I wonder if there is any movies where they would taking out the music would be worth experimenting on. Because with Mulan, it's not like it doesn't have like the best music, but it's got some good tracks in it that I think people remember.
yeah, I think for Disney, they're remaking the movies, the animated movies that are popular, and the songs are a very important aspect of these movies. So, what makes a Disney Mulan different from a Mulan made by another studio based on like the source material or something?
Yeah, the
The
historics or whatever.
yeah, the music from your animated movie is an essential part of differentiating yourself from another Mulan or whatever project that I think you have to take advantage because like music is like a big selling point on nostalgia. Think of all the people if you have like a trailer with Make a Man Out of You. Like, do you know how much that would hype everyone up to see that movie
I guess
that
that's true.
no other studio could do? Like it's the songs, the original songs that people like are an important asset into making a movie money. And if you aren't going to use that and people are mad about that, then it's just stupid. It's just like throwing money away, honestly.
Well, anyways, I think we've recorded enough for this podcast, so we got some
Yeah.
good discussion. We did some rambling, but wasn't as bad
Yeah,
as the
just like
first
it.
episode.
Hmm.
Anyways, from both of us here at CringeCast, we hope you all have a real cringy day.
Yeah, and I will burn Adult Swim to the ground someday. Believe it. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Believe it.